A successful businessman decides to go on a bird hunting vacation with his childhood friend because he wants to experience nature before it's paved over. However, the man soon realizes that he has been hunted back by something even dangerous, causing him to run for his life and find a way out of the woods. Let's sit back and enjoy the recap of how a hunting vacation can end up deadly if the hunter gets hunted back by unexpected threats. The story opens in a deep forested land, and we see an undisclosed man trying to bury a dead body. This mystery will be revealed later in the film. The scene changes to a young man named Nick, who is visiting a corporate office to meet his childhood buddy, Ellsworth. Seemingly out of the blue, these childhood friends have gotten in touch with each other and recall that it's been a long time of 10 years since they have met. Ellsworth seems a little busy with his work but still calls off his day for Nick. They go for hunting practice in a nearby high-ground forested area, and it seems that Ellsworth is not very good with taking clean shots. Later at night, the boys get together at Ellsworth's apartment with their wives and prepare dinner. Ellsworth is not very handy in terms of cooking, but still takes part because of Nick. After the dinner, the group enjoys some drink together, and the ladies appreciate them for putting the food on the table. It is then revealed that Ellsworth and Nick are planning to go on a hunting trip to a deep forest. Ellsworth wants to experience nature before it's paved over, and since Nick is both Native American and a game warden, who better to go with? Ellsworth also invites the ladies to go along for the vacation, but the ladies prefer to stay behind and have a girls' night together. Ellsworth and Nick leave for their hunting vacation the next morning and arrive at a rural, backwoods area Nick lives in. They watch a tribal war dance, which is performed to bring good fortune to the warriors. After the dance, Nick introduces Ellsworth to his son Nicky, who is also a performer in the ceremony dance. Ellsworth and Nick then have dinner together in Nick's house and have a small talk about Wendigos, a mysterious 15 feet tall creature who is believed to attack in the woods at night. While they are talking about all this stuff, two masked men sneak into his house from behind and take some pictures of a sleepy Nicky. After having dinner, the friends go to a nearby bar for a boys' night out. They encounter some loggers inside the bar, who engage in a fight with them for absolutely no reason at all. Regardless, they all end up having a game of pool and some tequila shots together. One of the loggers gives Ellsworth a small compass that can be used to get all turned around in the woods. Ellsworth appreciates him for his help, and the boys leave while all drunk and high. They continue their drive to the forest the next morning and have a sarcastic talk about their last night in the bar. They stop for some breakfast in a cafe and meet Sheriff Billy, whom Nick is familiar with for some reason. Billy keeps questioning them about their plans for the day in a weird manner, and when Ellsworth explains about their bird hunting vacation, they receive a warning from Sheriff Billy to stay on the trails once they're in the woods. However, we all know just how unlikely that is to happen. Ellsworth continues with the wheel after the breakfast and follows Nick's instructions on taking a narrow trail down the forest. Surprisingly, they find Sheriff Billy also following them to the same spot, which kind of feel weird to Ellsworth obviously. Ellsworth tries to get rid of him, but the sheriff claims that he is just looking after them. Nick then exits the car to approach him and indistinctly talks to him about something, but Ellsworth is unable to hear anything at this point. The sheriff then lets them drive off into the woods, and when Ellsworth asks Nick about the conversation he had with the sheriff, he just spills out a random story to divert his attention. They finally arrive in the forest with Ellsworth's dog and begin their game of bird hunting. Ellsworth takes his first clean shot and successfully takes down his target. The boys take a break to eat something, and Ellsworth notices that he forgot to bring Nick an opener. Nick gives him his steel knife, letting him to use it as an opener. When they're done eating, Nick decides to take a nap and Ellsworth goes it alone. Ellsworth assures him that they're going to stick to the trail so he can catch up later. He takes down his second bird of the day, waking up Nick with the gunshot sound. As Nick is trying to find them, the dog goes off the trail suddenly and doesn't respond even over Ellsworth's whistles. Nick eventually catches up to him, and they start looking for the dog together. They hear a gunshot nearby and discover that someone just shot the dog dead. The shooter then starts firing at them, forcing them to split up and run into the woods. The shooter is revealed to be a single gunman named Enrique, who belongs to a cartel drug operation hidden in the woods. Ellsworth keeps running into the woods as Enrique spots him and follows him. As Enrique nearly approaches him, Ellsworth lands a punch on his face, resulting in his broken nose. Regardless, Enrique keeps running after him, determined to do anything to kill him. Lost and on his own, Ellsworth has to find a way out of the woods, but he's going to face more threats than he knows. Ellsworth finds that he was nearly hit by one of the gunshots and tries to cover his wound with his shirt. He then tries to use the compass given by that logger in the bar, but it doesn't really sound like helping at the moment. He comes across a girl jogging in such a nice deep forest and tries to ask for help, but she runs away in terror, thinking of him as a threat to her. He then mistakenly stumbles down to a lower ground and eventually falls unconscious. Sheriff Billy receives a dispatch call about the incidents happening in the woods after that jogging girl called 911 for help. He immediately meets that girl from the woods and, after getting some more details about the forest, realizes that the man she saw was probably Ellsworth. The girl then shows concern about that man's safety and thinks that he might be in danger, but Billy weirdly behaves like he doesn't even care about anything. Ellsworth regains consciousness at midnight and tries to cover his body with mud and leaves to save himself from mosquito bites. He stays covered under the leaves up until the morning and stays still as he notices Enrique walking just by his side. As Enrique walks away, he gets up and continues with his unplanned escape plan. He suddenly notices a drone flying above him and realizes that more threats are coming his way. In the meantime, the girl from the woods explains everything to her fiancé and thinks that the cop is not going to follow up, since she felt something wrong with his behavior. Her fiancé tells her that he is going on a run in the same place and will check on him in case needed. As the story progresses, we see a girl named Romina, who is also a part of this drug cartel and is piloting that surveillance drone in search of Ellsworth. Billy also arrives at the same hideout, and it is revealed that he is the boss of this drug cartel and has been involved in the whole matter. He then goes into the woods in search of him and calls for a backup to stand by in case needed. When he returns back to the hideout, Nick also joins them, revealing him to be the real culprit who shouldn't have brought Ellsworth here in the first place. They plan to get rid of Ellsworth through any means necessary, because he now knows much about the drug cartel and they'll do anything to keep it hidden. Romina then shows him Nicky's picture that the masked men took in Nick's house earlier, threatening him to get rid of Ellsworth for his son's safety. Enrique keeps looking for Ellsworth through the forest, and Romina eventually finds him with the help of that drone. However, before they could inform Enrique about his location, he manages to find a good hiding spot under a broken tree. As he tries to escape, Enrique finds him and fires at him, only to discover that he outsmarted him with his shirt. A stormy, rainy evening nearly rolls around, and the jogging girl's fiancé also shows up in the woods. He comes across Ellsworth and tries to help him, but Enrique sees him and kills him, probably because he mistook him as Ellsworth. After discovering that he is not Ellsworth, Enrique starts burying him in the woods, which brings us to the very opening scene of the movie. Ellsworth keeps running for his life and is surprisingly hiding under Enrique's feet. He takes some rest at the same spot and drinks some water. Later at night, Enrique falls asleep and Ellsworth silently sneaks out and manages to escape. Unfortunately, as he is blindly walking in the dark, he unintentionally steps onto a bear trap, causing him to fall back and making the situation even worse for him. The next morning, Ellsworth wakes up screaming after finding a stranger sitting right next to him. His name is Sam, and he tries to help him get rid of the bear trap. He claims that he's a medical professor and tells him that his strong pair of shoes saved him from breaking his bones in the trap. Ellsworth then explains the whole story about the drug cartel and their intentions, to which Sam claims that he is very much aware of everything. He gives him some food and water and tells him to take some rest because of his wounds. Sam then takes the logger's compass from his hand and leaves the place. Enrique finds his footprints while searching for him and follows the trail. As Ellsworth sees him coming his way, he devises a strategy to use that bear trap. While Romina is searching through the drone, Ellsworth uses his dog whistle to direct Enrique towards the trap. He keeps blowing the whistle until he reaches the perfect spot and steps onto the trap. Ellsworth immediately uses a big rock to knock him unconscious and also uses his gun to destroy the drone. Romina then threatens Nick to go into the woods and save Enrique, or his son will be dead no matter what. Since the situation has got more complicated, Sheriff Billy asks Nick to sort things out, even if it involves killing Ellsworth. He eventually agrees and goes after Ellsworth into the woods. In the meantime, we see Ellsworth sitting right next to an injured Enrique, who is also suffering from asthma. Ellsworth asks him about Nick, because he is still concerned about his friend's safety. After much deliberation, Enrique finally reveals the truth about Nick, claiming that he is also a part of the cartel and gets paid to work for them. Ellsworth still doesn't believe in his claims about Nick's true face, but eventually decides to go after the gang and find a route to escape. He gives him some water and takes his gun before leaving. Romina and Billy also plan to go into the woods and find Ellsworth before he kills Enrique. While Enrique is still restrained to the tree, a group of wolves surround him after sniffing his blood and eat him alive, killing him for good. As an injured Ellsworth wanders through the forest, he hears Nick showing up while searching for him. As they nearly confront each other, Billy intervenes on a four-wheeler and surprises Nick. Billy blames him for not following the orders and messing things up, while Ellsworth is listening from nearby. When Billy gets enraged and decides to kill Ellsworth, Nick fires at his four-wheeler, causing him to crash into the woods. When Nick denies to follow his orders, Billy shoots him in the chest, killing him. Seeing his friend die in front of him, Ellsworth fires at Billy, only to discover an empty chamber. Billy retaliates with multiple gunfires, but Ellsworth manages to dodge them all and approaches Nick's dead body. Romina also shows up on another four-wheeler and brings a shotgun with her. Romina tries to work her way around the back, while Billy approaches him from the front. As he approaches Nick's dead body, Ellsworth emerges from underneath it and confronts him in a physical altercation. Eventually, he uses Nick's steel knife to stab him in the chest, killing him so easily than anyone would have expected. After that, Romina hears a four-wheeler approaching, and as she follows the vehicle's sound, she and Ellsworth get into a head-to-head collision as we hear a gunshot from Romina's shotgun. The next scene shows Ellsworth regaining consciousness and being surrounded by cops and paramedics. The logger from the bar is also present at the scene, who apparently called the cops and paramedics for help. When Ellsworth is taken away in an ambulance, the logger reveals that someone left a note and that compass outside the bar, which brought them to his location. Ellsworth realizes that it was Sam, the medical professor he met earlier in the forest, who is now conducting a medical class with his students in a university. In the final scene, Ellsworth has a soulful conversation with Nikki, in which he praises his father for his bravery and love for his son, and Nikki believes that his father will always be looking down on them until they join him in the spirit world. But wait, what actually happened to her? Did she die in the final fight? Or what? Her mystery was completely left in the air, and the movie closes out without resolving whether she made it out alive or not.